As you can see, we are inside of our domain controller, which is Windows Server 2019. So how do you create a mapped drive? Step number one, let's go into the Explorer and take a look at this machine. So we have volume E that I created here, and I've stored some files inside of this volume. This volume E is going to be shared. We're going to share this drive across different users on the domain. So for example, any end user that logged into a domain will be able to access this drive from over the network. So let's go and create our map drives using the group policy. So firstly, we will go and check our Active Directory users and computers to see what we have. We have the main forest, which is TechAkin.com. We also have built-in, we have computers in our domain, and we also have domain controllers organization unit. One of the organization unit that we have is US East. The US East domain contains computers and users. So we also have a US North, which is a organization unit. They all also have computers and users as well. So anyone within this US East will be able to access the shared drive that I showed you before. To create a mapped drive, we'll go to Start. We'll go to our Server Manager, open up the Server Manager. Once you open up the Server Manager, go and click on Tools. You click on Tools and then look for Group Policy Management. Here it is. So click on that, and then in the Group Policy Management screen, you will notice that we have our domain TechAkin.com. This one first is here. We have our domain controllers, we have our organization unit, exactly the same that we saw in the Active Directory users and computers. The first thing we want to do here is to go under the organization unit that we want to create mapped drive for. So let's go to, for example, let's go to US East organization unit and right click on US East. It can be, this can be named anything for your own in your own environment, and you will create a GPO in this domain and link it here. This is the option we're looking for. Name it, let's give it a name like mapped drives, and in the source starter GPO, just leave it as default and click on OK, and go back under the organization unit of US East and drop down. You will see that the new group policy that we created called map drive now shows up. Right click on that and click edit. Alright, now you see the group policy management editor is now opened up. Go ahead and maximize that, and since our plan is for each of the users that log in into the domain will be able to access a map drive, we'll go under the user configuration. We'll go into preferences, we'll go into Windows settings, and then we'll see drive maps here. So expand that a little bit and then right click on drive maps, and under the new, click on mapped drives. So you will now be presented with the new drive properties. Under the general, the action, leave action as update. Okay, all right, and in the location we have to specify, remember the E drive, the E volume that I show you in the beginning, you have to type the UNC path for that. So // your domain controller name, mine is dev100 /E. This is my location. We can go and check again to see if that's correct. So bring up an Explorer and type in the Explorer / dev-100 /E and press enter. You will notice that this is the I'm now inside the volume E that I created. So, and this is the UNC path. So when you're creating your mapped drive inside a group policy, use the UNC path method. And in the label as, we will label this as network. Let's give it a good name. In the label as, we'll give the name as network drive. Okay, and then the drive letter, we'll go and use, let's say we use H, so that we can have a customized name for each of our users that log in. All right, and then go over to the common tab and select run in logged on user security context. So check that, and also check on item level targeting. All right, and click on targeting. Once you click on targeting, you go under the new item and look for organization unit. Remember, we want to share the map drive over to different organization unit that we have within our Active Directory or domain controller. So select organization unit, and the organization unit that we want to make this map drive available is the US East. So click on this ellipse button right, and you see it lists all of the OUs that is within this domain. So let's go and select US East, and let's click OK. All right, and leave this one by default. So this map drive is going to be available to all our users in this OU. This OU is US East. So click OK, click apply, and click OK. All right, and once that's done, you'll see that we have in the drive maps, you see we have a new map drive which is called H. So all of our domain users should be able to see, all of our domain users in the US East OU should be able to have access to this mapped drive. Let's go ahead and just minimize this a little bit, and let's refresh this, and you can see, let's go back to the map drives again, right click on that. You see it's already linked. It's now linked to US East. If it's not linked, for example, you go to the US East right here and you click link an existing GPO. So right click on that, and then in the select GPO in TechAkin domain, select mapped drives and click on OK. You say this GPO is already linked to this organization unit. That is because we selected to be linked in the beginning when we created mapped drive. So let's now go over to our client Windows 10 and log in as one of our users within the US East OU. Before we do that, let's look for one of the names of the user within our US East. So let's bring up the Active Directory users and computers menu, and let's click on US East. Let's go to users. Inside the user, let's see, there are two users for now. So we have Jane Doe and Manny Doe. So let's go and log in as Jane Doe on our Windows 10. So let's go to Windows 10. So one thing that is worth mentioning at this point is that before you can log in into Windows 10 computer, you have to make sure that that computer that you want to log into, for example, Jendo and computer that's DEV200, they both have to be part of the US East organization unit. So just remember that you need to make sure that this computer is domain joined to TechAkin. All right, that's number one. And also that the user Jendo is also part of the users within the US East organization unit. So we type TechAkin, which is our domain name, /JDO. That's Jendo's username. Let's put it Jendo's password. Type in the password, and right now Jendo is logging into the domain. Jendo finally has now logged into our Windows 10, and the first thing we want to do is basically to refresh the group policy for Jendo. So go and bring up a PowerShell and type gp update space /force force and enter. You see we have to update the policy, the group policy for Jendo first, to be able to see whether Jendo is now will be able to access the mapped drives on the network. And as we can see now, the policy has now been completely successfully updated for Jendo. We have to log out and log back in as Jendo again to be able to check whether Jendo has access to the mapped drive. So let's shut down and just just to sign out, and we're signing out right now. Once we eventually sign out, we will sign back in as Jendo, and then we'll go and check if Jendo has access to map drive. Alright, let's go and log back in again as Jendo. So type your domain name, TechAkin, Jendo, put the password in for Jendo, and now Jendo is logging in again. That Jendo has logged back in successfully again. We will now go and bring up an Explorer, Windows Explorer, to be able to see whether she has access to mapped network mapped drives. And as you can see, Jendo now have access to network drives, which is over the network. If you right click and if you open up this network drive, you will see that Jendo now has access to the same drive that is within our domain controller. Let's go back into our domain controller and see whether the files inside the shared drive is the same one that Jendo has access to. So let's bring up an Explorer. See, this is new volume E, and we have two folders, dev200, dev300. Let's go back to Jendo's computer. Jendo has access to the PC. Jendo now also has access to network drive, which we created using group policy. And this is how to create a shared drive over the network, which is also known as map drive for domain users. If you like this tutorial, if you learned something today, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.